There are evenings that slide by quietly, the kind that don't mean anything on the surface. Tonight felt like that at first. My kid was moving a little slower, voice a little duller, that familiar signal that something was brewing in his body. I reached for the syrup without thinking. The cabinet, the bottle, the spoon. Motions so familiar they don't even feel like decisions anymore. I poured the dose and walked toward him. He glanced up briefly, and then he just opened his mouth. Simple, automatic, without any hesitation. And for some reason, that small moment pressed into me harder than usual. We've done this countless times. Nothing unusual happened, but something in the way he trusted me, so casually, so completely, made my chest tighten.
It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't fear of doing something wrong. It was more the sudden awareness of how easily he rests inside my choices, how unquestioned my intentions are in his eyes. He swallowed the syrup and wandered off, but I stayed in the moment a little longer than he did. It felt like the room had shifted by half a degree, just enough for me to feel it.
It made me think about the quiet ways responsibility shows up, not in big decisions, but in the tiny ones. How I phrase something, what I say yes to, what I decline without explaining, the rules I enforce without always remembering why they existed in the first place. It's strange how habit and care can look similar from the outside, but feel very different when I actually pause to examine them. There are days when I can clearly separate what's truly for his well-being from what is just leftover instinct or inherited patterns. Then there are days like this one, where the line blurs a little, and I'm not sure which part of the scaffolding around him is intentional, and which parts were built automatically without me noticing. And I suppose there's a part of me that wonders about the other direction too. The choice some people make to keep their lives lighter, less entangled. I can see the appeal of that sometimes. A life without anyone leaning too heavily on you. A life without having to wonder whether your decisions ripple into someone else's story. There's a softness in that, a kind of gentle distance that keeps things simple. But tonight, I found myself more curious about what that kind of distance does to a person over time. Not in a judgmental way, more like a quiet question. Does avoiding weight also mean avoiding the strange kind of growth that pressure brings? I don't know. Maybe there's a different kind of heaviness in being untouched. Maybe staying small is its own kind of safety. Maybe neither path is better, just different shapes of living. Trust, I'm realizing, appears in so many forms without calling attention to itself. A pet looking at you before crossing a room. A younger sibling copying your expression before they even realize they're doing it. A friend softening their voice because they believe you can hold the thing they aren't saying out loud yet. These small exchanges don't feel like anything extraordinary in the moment, but they carry weight in an almost invisible way. And maybe that's why responsibility feels so heavy when you actually notice it. It's been sitting quietly in the background the whole time, waiting for you to look directly at it. Tonight, that awareness lingered longer than I expected. Not in a dramatic or overwhelming way, just an insistent presence, like a thought that doesn't fade even after you switch off the light. Maybe growth works like that. Not as a sudden realization, but as a slow shift in the interior landscape, making room for someone you're still becoming. I don't think I'll ever feel entirely worthy of the trust he gives me, but maybe that feeling isn't meant to resolve. Maybe it's part of the process, an internal reminder to stay awake inside my choices, to pay attention to the difference between habit and intention, to keep rising a little closer to the version of myself he already believes in. And I keep circling back to that moment earlier tonight. Him opening his mouth without question. So simple, so quick. Nothing life-changing on the outside, but something in me rearranged around it. If there's a hopeful note in all of this, maybe it's just this. The quiet desire to be worthy of someone's trust might already mean I'm becoming someone who can be. Maybe that wanting is its own beginning.